Hey, it looks like most everyone has had a chance to join, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Good afternoon and welcome to today's statewide webinar hosted by SpedTex and Partners Resource Network. My name is Sarah Untersee, and I am part of the SpedTex team. The topic for today's webinar is dispute resolution in special education. A few housekeeping items before we get started today. If you need technical assistance during today's webinar, we do have Ashton Rowe with us today from Region 10 to provide that support. She is the black and white box that you might see on your Zoom screen, and you can send her a chat message if you need any help. Today's webinar will be recorded and will be made available on the SpedTex website. It usually takes about a week in order for that to be posted, but we will drop our website link into the chat so that you are able to access that once it becomes available. Today's presentation slides are in both English and Spanish, and the same presentation will be used during both versions of the webinar. Although time does not allow for live questions and answers today, you are welcome to put any questions you may have in the Q&A box, and we will pass those along to our presenters following the webinar. SpedTex is the Special Education Information Center for Texas. We're a collaborative project between the Region 10 Education Service Center and the Texas Education Agency. We help parents understand their rights and responsibilities under IDEA and facilitate collaboration when there are disagreements between the parent and the school district. We also serve as a resource for educators. We offer support via phone, email, or live chat for families and professionals, webinars, and resources, and our contact information is on the screen. I'm now going to turn it over to Stephanie McLaughlin to share some additional information about Partners Resource Network.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Sarah. My name is Stephanie McLaughlin. I am the Training and Evaluation Specialist for Partners Resource Network. Partners Resource Network is the nonprofit agency that operates the Texas statewide network of parent training and information centers. We are funded through the Department of Education Office of Special Education Programs. And throughout Texas, we have 4 projects known as PACT, PATH, PIN, and TEAM. Our mission at Partners Resource Network is to empower and support Texas families and individuals impacted by disabilities or special healthcare needs. We do this through a network of highly skilled, regionally located coordinators who are knowledgeable in local policies, services, and resources, as well as state and national guidelines. We provide training, information, and one-on-one assistance at no cost to Texas families and youth. We serve parents of children and youth with disabilities from birth to age 26, as well as youth self-advocates from 14 to 26. Our services are provided in both English and Spanish. And for more information, you can check out our website at prntexas.org, and you can also like us on Facebook at PRN Texas. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Stephanie. We are excited to welcome our presenters, Josh DeLoach and Elise Lieberman. Mr. DeLoach is currently serving as the Special Education Complaints Manager for the Texas Education Agency. Prior to that, he served as a District Special Education Administrator, a Campus Administrator, a Behavior Specialist, and a Special Education Teacher. His education includes an Education Specialist degree in Special Education, a Master's degree in Education Administration, and a Bachelor's in Government and History. His background includes being a certified autism specialist, a certified instructor in restorative discipline, and a certified instructor in nonviolent crisis intervention. He has 3 daughters, a wife who is also an administrator in education, and a Yorkie, who is also a female. Dr. Elise Lieberman has worked 29 years in special education as a teacher, district administrator, Education Service Center support specialist, Texas Education Agency technical support provider, and currently serves as the TEA Manager of Compliance and Early Resolution in the Department of Special Education Complaints. Dr. Lieberman completed her MED and PhD in Educational Administration from Texas A&M University. She currently serves as instructional faculty teaching special education at Western Governors University. Dr. Lieberman is also an appointed committee member to Governor Abbott's Governor's Committee for People with Disabilities, where she has been honored to serve for the past 4 years. Dr. Lieberman has 4 children, the youngest of whom proudly graduates from Texas Public Schools in May of 2024. At this point, I am going to stop sharing and I am going to turn it over to Josh and Elise.
All right. Are we good to go? Can you guys see the screen? I hope.
I think it looks good.
Okay, all right,
looks
great.
good.
I think we're
Awesome.
good.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for that welcome and taking time out of your day to listen to us talk about what we do and what we have a passion about in dispute resolution in special education. We do have an agenda today. The agenda is what we're going to cover here today. First of all, we're going to talk about the information or who has the information that you need, specifically at the local level, the campus level, and the district level. We're going to talk about a comparison of services that are available to parents and to schools. We're going to talk about some tips on the special education dispute resolution process, what the actual process looks like, and then we'll end up with questions and resources for you to have. So this webinar is designed to provide an overview of options available for resolving disputes arising under both the federal and state special education laws. It's not meant to interpret or modify or replace any type of procedural safeguards which are provided by and requirements of federal and state law. So before we move into discussing those informal and formal options for resolving disputes, we wanted to talk a little bit about preventing conflict. And so when faced with a conflict, remember that there's a variety of options that are available in order to come to some sort of solution that works for everybody involved, but most importantly, for your student. For the relationships, the single most important way to prevent any conflict, necessary or unnecessary, is to establish a solid working relationship between you, the parent, and the educators, and do it before there are problems. To build and maintain a solid working relationship with your student's teacher and other educators through regular and open communication will solve a lot of the issues. Contacting your student's teacher, principal, school nurse, or any other staff member to share concerns that you have about your student is also the key to communication. On the other side of the relationships is the communication point. Reinforce that relationship with open and regular exchanges of information. Present and resolve any minor issues of concern that arise. And don't save up small problems so that they turn out to be a big one. We have lots of methods of communication available in this day and age. We have email, we have telephone, we have homeschool notes, we have face-to-face meetings. So choose the best method of communication that works for you and for the school. Okay, so starting with the information, who has the information that you need? If your student is having difficulty in school, you think that a change to your student's IEP or individualized education program is needed, communicating with the appropriate school or district personnel is often the quickest and simplest way to resolve or address the issue. Like I said before, good communication with the person working directly with your student, such as the classroom teacher or a special education teacher, can prevent many problems at the school. Try to work out the problems with the teacher first as they arise, and if you cannot resolve the issue with the teacher, then you can proceed to the next levels. And here you'll see a little graphic of chain of command, if you will, where it starts with the student's teacher, principal, your evaluation personnel that are residing sometimes on the campus, and then the special education director at the district office. So to be a little bit more specific, who has the information that you need? In the lowest level, your student's teacher can provide information on IEP implementation, the behavior challenges, if there are any in the classroom, what the current classroom schedule looks like, and the grade level expectations. So if you have questions revolving around these particular issues, then start with the teacher. The next level is the principal. School principals can provide a wealth of knowledge, including school policies and the procedures. They can give you information about transportation, including special education transportation. They have information on classroom schedules, school records, staff availability, discipline procedures, IEP services on the campus, and basic information about district programs. They can also point you in the right direction to get a referral or who to talk to in order to get a referral into special education. The next person on that list was the evaluation personnel. These personnel can provide information on things like your evaluations, the different types of disabilities that are covered under IDEA, interventions that are possible for the student, and accommodations in the classroom. So they can provide you a little bit more specific information talking about specifically special education services. And the last one on that list was the special education director. They can provide information on special education policies and procedures with regard to district procedures. They can give district resource information, so who to talk to about certain things. They can provide you information on something called an independent education evaluation, what we call IEEs, and they can provide information on your students' special education records. So with that information, who do you talk to? So if you believe, and these are just a few examples, good communication with the right person working directly with your students, such as the classroom teacher or a special education teacher, can prevent many of the problems at the school. Try to work out the problems with the teacher first as they arise, and then proceed up to the next level. So for example, you believe that your student is falling behind in their schoolwork. Who would you contact? You would start with your student's teacher, and then there's an example of what you can say. I would like to meet with you because I'm concerned that my student is falling behind in schoolwork. You might suspect that your student has a disability and needs to be evaluated. That would be either the principal or the special education director. And an example of what you might say was, I'd like to have my student evaluated for a disability because I'm concerned that he or she is struggling in school. If you believe that your student's IEP is not being followed, again, who do you contact? You start with your student's teacher. I would like to schedule an ARD, an IEP meeting or admission review and dismissal meeting to discuss concerns about how my student's IEP is being implemented. The next slide on here is going to be talking about the various services available to parents, and I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Lieberman.
Thank you. We want to talk about the services available to parents. The Texas Education Agency offers multiple processes for resolving disputes related to special education. We have Individualized Education Program Facilitation, FIEP, mediation, special education complaints, and due process hearings. This information is available on the TEA website, and we have a link for you in the chat. So there is a continuum of special education conflict resolution options. I'm going to start at the lowest level of resolution options with prevention. As Josh Mr. Deloach just spoke about, there's local and regional training for parents and educators, the IEP team, the ARD committee meetings, case manager teachers, parent-to-parent assistance, SPED techs and or TEA technical assistance, and local facilitated IEP meetings are all prevention conflict resolution options. When there is a disagreement, it can still be resolved at the local level. Disagreement in an IEP committee team meeting, state-sponsored, ARD facilitated an ARD committee meeting, facilitated IEP, local mediation, and again, sped techs and/or TEA technical assistance. At stage 3, these are third-party options for resolution of disputes, meaning it's no longer just you and the school district working. Mediation under IDEA, special education complaints, that includes TEA-assisted alternate dispute resolution and early resolution proposals, due process hearing resolution session, and a due process hearing. The highest or most significant intervention to resolve a conflict is stage 4, which would be a legal review, either litigation through a civil suit or appeals or legislation. Okay. IEP facilitation serves as a mean of preventing disputes related to special education programs and services, and serves as an alternative dispute resolution process for issues related to special education. IEP facilitation is used when a parent and a school district cannot agree in an admission, review, and dismissal or ARD committee meeting. Let me see. A facilitator helps ARD committee members develop ground rules and an agenda for the meeting, guides the discussion by asking student-focused questions, keeps the ARD committee on task and the meeting on schedule, asks questions to clarify points of agreement and disagreement, and helps identify workable solutions. The facilitator does not make decisions or determine if team members are right or wrong. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Elise. I was
You?
going to jump in here for the complaint
I'm so
investigation.
sorry. I'm just going to keep on going. Please. Sorry.
That's okay. So the next portion actually is in my wheelhouse. I am the complaints manager for Texas Education Agency, and I wanted to speak a little bit about what our investigators actually do when we receive a complaint. The process is listed on your screen here. The special education process is used to investigate when there are alleged violations of special education requirements when they relate to one or more students. The assigned TEA investigator reviews the information that is given and the documentation related to those allegations and makes findings based on both special education law and regulations. So you'll see here the intake, if you will. The investigator will review the information related to the complaint. They'll look at the complaint that the complainant sent in. They might interview the complainant and might interview school staff depending on what the allegations are. And then once the information has been reviewed, the interviews have been done, the investigator will make it a finding and determination based on what the record shows, which is the information that is present, and the special education requirements. Here are some things that TEA cannot investigate. These are complaints that we receive that we do not investigate. Fraud, waste, and abuse is usually done by the State Auditor's Office, or SAO. Public information requests are done and handled through the Office of Attorney General. Anything involving Section 504 is done and investigated through the U.S. Department of Education Office of Civil Rights. If there's allegations of child abuse, we refer it to the Department of Family and Protective Services, or DFPS. Another issue is staff hiring and evaluation, class assignments, dress codes, facilities, homework practices. All of these are local issues. And we refer the complainant to whatever the local process is for the LEA, the local education agency, to address the issues that are present. Cameras in the special education classroom, if there are complaints or questions or a request to have a camera installed, those complaints are addressed through the local grievance process. And then general complaints. These are complaints that are not special education. They're handled by a different agency or a different department in the agency called the Division of Complaints Management. And they will handle anything outside of special education. I'll turn it back over to Elise, who's going to talk about early resolution proposals.
Okay, thank you. Well, if complaints were in Josh's wheelhouse, then early resolution proposals are in mine. So early resolution proposals are when the district investigates a complaint independently and determines remedies to the complaint. The district will communicate directly with the parent to discuss proposed actions to resolve the conflict. If both parties agree, the complaint timeline may be extended to allow for continued collaboration toward an agreement. If the conflict is resolved independently, the complainant may request to withdraw the complaint. One note, once the investigative report is issued, the school district is required to implement the corrective actions outlined in the report. Next, please. So the TEA-assisted alternate dispute resolution may be initiated by either party, the school district or the complainant. TEA staff will facilitate a process toward the development of a collaborative and mutually agreeable resolution. TEA can aid in communication between the parties, but cannot provide legal advice. If both parties are agreeable, the complaint timeline may be suspended or extended to allow time for this local resolution process. If a negotiated resolution is developed and accepted by the parties, the complainant again may request to withdraw the complaint. Mediation. With the help of a trained mediator, this may be used at a time that a parent and a school district cannot agree about a student's special education and/or related services. After both parties agree to participate in mediation, an impartial mediator assigned by TEA meets with the parties in an informal setting and helps the parties resolve the issue or issues in dispute. So a mediator will help the participants develop ground rules for the session, creates a safe environment, and encourages participants to be respectful of the other point of view. The mediator will guide discussion by listening, identifying interests, and clarifying concerns. Mediators do not make decisions and they are knowledgeable of the requirements related to special education and related services. A special education due process hearing is a formal legal process similar to going to a trial in court. A district or parent may request a due process hearing when a parent and the district do not agree about the identification, evaluation, educational placement, or services of a student with a disability, or when the parties disagree on the provision of a free appropriate public education, or FAPE, to the student. A hearing officer oversees the hearing timeline and includes all pre-hearing activities, conducts the hearing and manages procedural matters, uses applicable law to write a decision based on evidence and testimony presented at the hearing, and a hearing officer may dismiss the complaint if the issues are resolved before the hearing. So this last slide has some links for you. I think we can place them, or some additional resources. I think we can place these into the chat.
Elise, I think that what we'll do is these links will be included in the PDF so that everyone will be able to access those when it's posted on SpedText.
Okay, thank you. That's even better. So some of the resolution resources are about IEP facilitation, the state written complaints process, mediation, due process hearings. There's also a comparison chart of the state dispute resolution options that you may access. So tips for resolving issues. No one knows more about your child than you do. Working together with your child's teacher and school can help your child have a successful school year. If you become concerned about your child's educational programs or special education services, contact your child's teacher immediately and share information about your concerns. You may also ask for a meeting with other school personnel, such as the principal, special education director, and discuss your concerns about your child's education. Keep in mind, you can also call an ARD meeting anytime. Be sure to put your request for an ARD meeting in writing to the school principal. Other tips are build a solid working relationship with your child's teacher and reinforce that relationship with open and regular exchanges of information. Ensure your contact information at your child's school is up to date. work to resolve minor issues as they arise, consider requesting an ARD meeting to address your concerns, contact SpedTex or the parent resource or PRN with questions about special education, and access resources TEA offers and dispute resolution.
So this next slide here shows some resources that we put together, including some video series. We have of course, the dispute resolution handbook, and then several webinars and a couple of videos that are pertinent that actually TEA put out. And so again, I believe that these links or this presentation will be put into a PDF file, which will have the links embedded in it, and you'll simply just click on those. These resources will be housed on the SpedTex website, and then and they will be available to you after this presentation. Okay, so we wanted to talk a little bit as we close up the discussion about what happens or what must happen in an IEP team meeting. So first of all, the IDEA regulation, which is 300-324, requires that the IEP team meets in order to consider the strengths and needs of a student. It also has to have the concerns of the parent, should also contain information about the student's evaluation when they're developing the IEP. So all of these things must happen every single time that there is an annual IEP team meeting. The reason that we brought that up was because it ties into that clear communication. So clear communication is essential for helping to ensure that the best possible environment for discussing the student's needs. So just like we discussed a second ago, in the present levels of academic and functional performance section, it's important for the student, the staff, and the parent to be able to talk and communicate about what the student's needs are. Clear communication is also essential in order for everyone to discuss and understand the strengths of the student. It's also essential in order for the ARD committee to design an IEP that builds on those strengths and those needs. And then lastly, that clear communication is essential in order for everyone to clearly understand how the IEP will be implemented. So what can parents do to help improve communication? You can start by providing a list of concerns to the district or facilitator as soon as possible prior to the ARD committee meeting, so that the district can have the appropriate personnel or the data at the meeting and then won't be surprised. Providing data to the district or the facilitator as soon as possible prior to the ARD committee meeting so that the district can have time to review it. This includes anything from the outside. And then keeping in touch with the student's education providers and trying not to make assumptions about the way that the staff are doing or have in mind for your student. Remember, the goal is to have that clear communication, and the goal is to work together for your student. Other strategies that parents can use is to keep a record of your communications with the district. For instance, who did you talk to? When did you talk to them? What did you talk about? And what did they say? Stay engaged in conversation. And if you don't understand something, if there are a lot of acronyms in special education world, if you don't understand something or an acronym is used, simply ask. There is a notice of procedural safeguards and the guide to the ARD process. If you have questions, you can ask district personnel, you can ask other parents, the Parent Training and Information Center, your local education service center, and or TEA for help in understanding the special education process. Most importantly is to keep the meeting focused on the student. Two key points to remember here is that everything in the ARD committee meeting involves communication. Improving that communication amongst the ARD committee members improves the whole process for everyone involved, most importantly for the student. And lastly, here we have a couple of resources that we put on here. Of course, the SpedTex and PRN, Partners Resource Network. We have additional resources here, including Cadre, the Directory of Community Resources in Texas. We have a link here to the legal framework, which has all the legalese of all the regulations, and then the Parent Training Institute website. So we want to thank you so much for participating and listening to us discuss the dispute resolution process and ways to help your student be successful. We do appreciate you giving your time this afternoon and coming in and listening to us. As always, like I said before, if there are any questions, please don't hesitate to put them in chat, and we will do our best to get a response to you. So on behalf of Elise, thank you very much for having us here.
Thank you both so much. And thank you everyone for your time today. Right now, I'm going to give this back to Stephanie McLaughlin to share a little bit more information about Partners Resource Network.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you for the information. So once again, Partners Resource Network is the Parent Training and Information Center. You can check us out on our website at prntexas.org. And if you look under events, you will see all sorts of events coming up in your local area, as well as our statewide webinars that we have coming up for the rest of the semester. And you can also like and follow us on Facebook at PRN Texas. Thank you so much.
Questions about special education? Contact us at SpedTex, your source for special education information. We are happy to help. Our contact information is on the screen. Create a MySpedTex account. With a MySpedTex account, families can receive customized reminders, volunteer to participate in focus groups, locate resources tailored to your needs, and access trainings. We are going to stop the recording now.